Hey everyone, Dave here with another episode of the PTE monthly webinar. Today we're going to be speaking about unlocking your website's potential, the importance of technical optimization. This is the webinar for December 2024. And I'm your host. I'm Dave. I'm the organizer of Philly Tech Entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur living in Graduate Hospital, and I moved to Philly 5 years ago. And I run a marketing agency called Shortlist.io, and I started Philly Tech Entrepreneurs about a year and a half ago. We are a free community on Slack and Meetup for local tech entrepreneurs to engage, grow, and connect. We do a monthly webinar. We do more or less a weekly podcast. We have a Slack community with hundreds of members. We do in-person monthly events. We have a meetup group as well. It's a nice community, very nice people in this ecosystem. Happy to be a part of it. And today we're going to be talking about technically optimizing your website. This is a topic that I feel like doesn't get a lot of attention because it's not super sexy. It's kind of like spring cleaning for your house, right? Like we all see the value in it, but very few of us really want to set aside the time to do it. But just like a house, after you've had a website for some number of years, in all likelihood, there's some technical debt that could be weighing down the website. And making it harder to grow. And these are the things that should be addressed. A lot of us don't realize it. We don't always visit our website that often. Why would we, right? We're out, running our businesses, and we don't, always need to kind of check every page of our website. But every day, hopefully visitors are coming to our website, and they are noticing these things. They're noticing a poor user experience. They're noticing if it takes a long time for something to load, if there's just lots of obstacles in the way. And this causes them to bounce. And this could be a very valuable lost opportunity. If it's an e-commerce shop, for example, that might be an abandoned cart. If it's just your service, etc. If you sell technical services, you have a poor looking website, people are going to question your credibility, right? Little Q&A, what percentage of users leave a website if it takes more than 3 seconds to load? We've had some time to take a look at the answers. According to Google, that is around 53%. Of course, it's going to vary. It's going to vary by industry. It's going to vary by how long it takes to load. Is it 3 seconds? Is it 10 seconds? But it does matter, right? We have just become impatient people. We expect things to load fast, and Google rewards websites that load quickly because they want to create an internet, a search experience that has a good user experience. So we're going to talk about a couple things relatively quickly. What does it mean to technically optimize your website? Why it's important? Some of the key elements of having a stellar website, the connection between technical optimization and conversions, and some actionable steps that you can do to improve your website today. Let's start with what it means to have a technically optimized website. A technically optimized website ensures that search engines can easily crawl, index, and rank your pages while also providing users with a seamless experience. This is an important definition because it kind of addresses the two parties that are at play with your website. There are the search engines that this happens on the back end, right? Google is crawling, billions, maybe even trillions of sites every day, and it needs to be able to understand what that content is, and then it needs to be able to essentially index it, right? Like kind of store it, categorize it, and then display it when relevant for the different keywords that people might be searching for. Simultaneously, users, people, real human beings are going to websites and they're looking for a seamless experience. And sometimes what's good for search engines is not always good for users, and vice versa. And that's the balancing act between technical optimization, right? Like what's good for search engines might just be a very small, thin page that just has only text on it, at least in terms of something loading fast, right? That might not be considered quality content. There's a lot of factors to consider, but what we think might be useful for users could be videos, animations, GIFs, like different things, different media that we think is going to be eye-catching, eye-popping. But a lot of those can technically bog down the site. And so we're always trying to find the balance between, hey, we want the site to load fast, we want this to be indexed well, well, we also want to create a good user experience that's going to attract users and convert them. So a lot of things we're kind of looking at I think a lot of the dialogue that I kind of just shared was about like the individual page, like a home page, right? But we also need to think about the site as a whole. What is the architecture of the site, right? Like, how is the site organized? Does it make sense? Are all the services pages within the relevant category? Is the blog separate on a subdomain? How is it all kind of organized? Is it easy to navigate? There's a bunch of other technical aspects that need to be looked at. Things like broken links, when you click a link and it errors out because that page no longer exists. Slow loading assets, server-side errors. Have we on the back end in the metadata, this is the data that a search engine crawls but is not typically visible to a user. Have we actually explained through descriptive titles and meta description what's on every page, right? Because a user can see an image and know what it is, but search engines don't really see images in the same way that we as human beings do. So they need to look at metadata to really understand what they're looking at, to understand how to kind of index this page. So why is it important? Well, it should be pretty obvious, right? At the end of the day, our website serves one purpose, and it's essentially to represent who we are and ideally convert customers. And in order to get customers, we need people to be able to find the page. And in order for people to find the page, we need search engines to be able to crawl it and then index it and display it when it's relevant. And then simultaneously, when those users get on the page, we want them to be captivated by the website, have a good user experience, and progress through the funnel that the website creates, right? A website is a funnel. It starts with a home page, and then potentially you're leading people down to a services page, to potentially maybe some sort of buy now cart experience, and then a checkout, right? It always kind of, it depends. Obviously, are we talking about products? Are we talking about services? Or something else? But at a high level, that's kind of the flow, right? This sort of understanding of who we are and what we offer, understanding specifically of the services, products that are provided, their price points, providing the information that's required, whether it's email addresses, credit cards, phone numbers, things like that, and then executing some type of conversion on the page. And if the site is not technically optimized, then all the efforts that you're doing to market that page, to write and create content on that page, maybe for waste, right? And I think that's kind of the thing that makes this a very unloved aspect of marketing. So let's talk about some of the key elements of a stellar website. First of all, there are just core technical features that make a website fast, reliable, user-friendly. So one of the components that we look at quite a bit is Core Web Vitals. These are a series of, I think, like vitals, right? Like when you think about your health, like your blood pressure, your vital signs. These are essentially some metrics, for lack of a better word, that come directly from Google. And whenever somebody's coming directly from Google, as marketers, search engine marketers, we pay attention, right? Because we believe that in all likelihood, they are providing us this information because they want us to be able to improve our website, because it's factors directly into their ranking algorithm, right? So one of the things we see are speed, so largest content paint, LCP. We're looking for a benchmark of under 2.5 seconds. Responsiveness, this is FID, first input delay, under 100 milliseconds. Visual stability, CLS, cumulative layout shift. You'll see sometimes like a website will load and then like the content will shift almost like a micro amount. But those are types of things that Google is catching. Having a mobile first design, right? There are different interfaces that users view a website. They're not all looking at a desktop computer. They may be looking on their mobile phones, and mobile phones vary. They vary in their screen size, or if it's a computer, they might be using various desktops. They may be using, like a Safari, Microsoft Edge, Chrome. Oftentimes, websites have little differences in how they appear on each of these interfaces. it's just the nature of these browsers just being built by different companies, and they just kind of have a different standards and things like that. So you'll sometimes find that something that looks fine and loads on one does not do well on the other, or you may need a very different design for mobile because you just have a lot less real estate to work with, right? Like the screens for telephones are a lot smaller, and so things need to be organized differently. If you think like that, just any old website that you build is going to look good on a phone, you may be wrong. And that, again, could be losing you a lot of potential business. Security is another aspect of this. Nowadays you expect a lot of most websites to have HTTPS and encryption. This is usually an additional add-on that you need to configure or even buy. It's usually pretty cheap, but nevertheless, it basically it sort of indicates that the website is secure. And when you don't have this, sometimes you'll go to a website and Google will, or whatever the browser is that you're using, will indicate that the website may not be safe, and will ask you, if you want to proceed. And if you know your website, you're probably going to say, well, of course I am. But if someone doesn't know who you are, they may say, oh, this is a sign that I should leave right now. So I mean, there's just honestly a litany of elements that go into making sure that the page experience is optimized. And it's hard to obviously account for all of them. But the good thing is that for the most part, if you're not making a lot of changes to your site, it's unlikely for these things to change significantly over time, right? Like if it's the same amount of content that you have on the page, the same architecture and hierarchy, and you haven't really made any changes to the site, then chances are, if it was good then it should be good now. And so that's why, technical optimization for a website is one of those things that shouldn't be a priority for a brand new website, right? It's a website that really hasn't been around enough to kind of acquired a lot of technical debt, and there's unlikely to be a significant amount of content that could be weighing it down. But it's something that maybe you want to look at, every 6 to 12 months. Like, it's kind of the oil change of the car every 15,000 miles or however many it is. It depends how often you're making changes to your site and things like that. But generally speaking, this is something that doesn't need to be done frequently, but should be done every once in a while. So how does this, connect to conversions? Well, obviously, we had the little survey at the beginning that said kind of longer load times often increase bounce rates. Bounce rates is kind of refers to the percentage of people that go to your site and then bounce off, they leave. You'll see this statistic from Bing here. A 2-second delay can lead to 4% loss in revenue per visitor, 4% more or less reduction in clicks, 2% drop off in queries, right? So, I'm not sure exactly where, these are, I'll cite the source. It's obviously an aggregate of many, many websites that, Bing has access to. But I think the correlation is clear. I think we can all understand the logic behind slow loading sites and how that affects the experience. Because remember, when people go to a website, they're rarely just loading one page, right? Like they may land on the home page, but then maybe they're going to go, like I said, they're going to read some blog articles. They might read the about page. They might go to the contact, etc. And so every delay across the site is multiplied by every effort the user makes to load a page. And that's why, like when you say like a 2-second delay, that might be multiplied by 5, if they are loading lots of pages or several. And again, each page is going to have its own delay because delays are not, they're not at a site-wide level. They're kind of at an individual page level. The home page looks very different than a contact page. And so the contact page may load very quickly because it doesn't have a lot of content and there's nothing particularly fancy about it, but the home page could be very slow. So there's just like a lot to consider here. At the end of the day, some actionable steps to improve your website. And let me just say that, first of all, there are a number of tools, free, paid, etc., on the web that will, do a reasonable audit of how optimized your site is. They basically will scan your site. They'll identify weak points. They may give you a score. They may prioritize some things for you to do. Some of those things you may understand. Some of those things you may not. Some of those things may be a priority. Some things are not. That's the problem with the tools, is that they can kind of, they're programmed to just sort of give you a programmatic answer as to kind of how, you should approach things. But actually interpreting those and then obviously doing them often takes a human, and that's where sometimes specialist agencies come in handy. Or if or if you're the type of person that likes to be very DIY and hands-on, then that's your opportunity to learn more about how to manage your site. But I do recommend running your site through an audit if you haven't done this in like ever or in a while. And then basically what you'll likely be directed to do is optimizing content delivery. So for example, lazy loading for images and videos is something that basically means that images and videos will be loaded as the user views them or scrolls them. So if images are down on the bottom of the page, they actually aren't loaded until the user scrolls down. What this does is it essentially defers the loading of some of the things that take the longest to load until the user actually needs them. So it's a general kind of best practice. It rarely sort of upsets the user experience, but can improve initial load times, especially on very content-heavy, image-heavy websites. Combining files, you'll see a lot of combining CSS, JS files, just to reduce the number of places that crawlers have to search to load, the site, or servers have to get to. Simplifying the navigation, do you really need all those pages on the site? Should some content be combined? Does the architecture kind of make sense? If you were trying to find information about the company, if you were trying to find the contact information, if you're trying to learn about their mission, different things, does it make sense where you would go to get those? Are forms easy to fill out, right? People are very picky about form fatigue and just how much effort it takes to fill out a form. And do we really need to be asking for all that information that we have there? Is it really necessary, or can we do without some of that, or save some of it till later? Corporate vitals we talked about, repairing broken links, another one that was mentioned, HTTPS, those were mentioned in past slides. But in any case, they're all going to help just optimize the site better. And we've seen plenty of sites where we optimized the site and then it ranked better and generated more traffic just from that. You didn't do anything else. There wasn't any additional link building or content created or any of the other things that generally are associated with generating traffic and improving keywords. Just fixing up the website, and that alone can help it breathe and grow. So I hope that one was an interesting session. Like I said, we do these every month. If you have topics that you're interested in us doing a webinar about, feel free to message me in Slack. And I wish everybody a happy new year. We will continue with PTE events starting in January after the new year.